The light never simply shined on her. It followed her, across continents, across decades, across a dance floor that refused to sleep. Before the world called her the Queen of Disco, Donna Summer was a girl from the Boston projects who carried a voice far bigger than the streets she grew up on. A voice that could rise above fear, above poverty, above every barrier placed in front of a young black girl who dared to dream in a country that was not built to protect her. But here is the truth. The crown she wore did not come from fame. It came from survival. It came from every night she stood under the hot lights of crowded clubs, singing over beats that would shape modern dance music for generations. And still, beneath the glitter, there was a story most people never saw. A story of gunshots in childhood. A story of running from danger. A story of leaving home to stay alive. A story of faith, heartbreak, reinvention, and a brilliance so bright it could not be contained. So the question is simple. How did a girl who almost never made it out of Boston become the woman who changed the sound of the world? And what did it cost her? Donna Summer was not born into the spotlight. She was born into survival. Her childhood began in the housing projects of Boston, where 7 children shared one home, and hope always seemed thinner than the walls around them. Her father worked 3 jobs, sometimes disappearing before sunrise and returning long after the house had gone quiet. When the family ran out of food, he went fishing, standing for hours at the edge of the water so his children would never go to bed hungry. Music was the only thing that came easily. Donna sang before she understood what singing meant. Her mother said she hummed before she talked, filling the apartment with small sounds that floated above the noise of the neighborhood. Church was the center of their lives, a place where truth was spoken through song and faith lived in the harmonies of people who carried their struggles into the pews. At 10 years old, Donna stepped to the front of the church for the first time. One of the regular singers was sick, and they needed a voice to fill the silence. When she opened her mouth, something shifted in the room. Her voice was not the voice of a child. It was full. It was heavy. It carried a depth that startled everyone who heard it. People cried. The pastor stood still, and the quiet girl with a scar on her cheek became the center of a moment she did not yet understand. That scar stayed with her through the years. A childhood accident left a line across her face, a reminder she carried into adolescence. Kids teased her. Adults whispered about her looks. She learned early that beauty was something people tried to measure, and she learned even earlier that she would never let them measure her worth. Her father's rules were strict. No makeup, no nail polish, no signs of vanity. Donna grew up believing she had to hide anything that made her feel seen, but music refused to let her stay hidden. In high school, she stepped onto stages again, this time in school musicals and local performances. She was not simply good, she was magnetic. Her voice lifted the room the way sunlight lifts a window shade. Slow at first, then suddenly bright. Teachers encouraged her, students admired her. But the world outside school was still dangerous. One afternoon, Donna witnessed something she never forgot. A group of men attacked an elderly woman, knocked her to the ground, and stole her purse. She watched the life fade from the woman's face, right there on the street. Donna later testified against the men, and the threats began almost immediately. Phone calls, warnings, dark looks from people she recognized too well. Her family feared for her life. So when she had the chance to leave Boston with her blues rock band, Crow, they told her to go. She was just weeks away from graduation, but survival could not wait for a diploma. In New York, the world opened, lights brighter, music louder, dreams larger than the fear she carried. Her band played clubs, small stages, whatever they could get. People noticed her presence before they noticed the music. She was the only woman in the band and the only black member, standing at the center of a sound that did not yet know what to do with her. But Donna knew. She knew she did not travel all that distance to blend in. She came to become. A record deal offer came, but the label wanted her and only her. The band dissolved, and she stood alone again, walking toward the next door fate would open. That door led to a Broadway audition for the musical Hair, and the director knew within minutes that she belonged on a stage much bigger than any she had known. Soon, she would leave America. Soon, she would leave everything familiar. Soon, she would become the woman the world would one day call a queen. When Donna boarded the plane to Germany with the cast of Hair, she thought she was leaving danger behind. She did not know she was stepping into the chapter that would shape everything that came after. Germany was unfamiliar at first. The language, the streets, the cold. But the stage felt the same. It held her. It understood her. and it became the first place where she felt the world leaning in to listen. On that stage, she met Helmut Sommer, an Austrian actor whose presence felt steady in the chaos of touring. They married. They had a daughter, Mimi. And for a moment, Donna believed she had found the life she had been running towards since Boston. But marriages built on youth and movement rarely stay still. The relationship ended, but she remained in Europe, carrying the last name Sommer, which the world would soon mishear as Summer. Staying in Germany was not a decision as much as an instinct. Her voice belonged to no single country. Her ambition was its own language. She acted in shows across Europe. Show Boat, Porgy and Bess, Godspell. She sharpened her presence. She learnt timing. She learnt restraint. She learned how to hold an audience with more than a note. But everything changed in 1974 when she stepped into the orbit of two producers who were about to rewrite the sound of modern music. Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotte were experimenting with machines, synthesizers, and rhythms that did not yet belong to any known genre. They needed a voice that could ride those electronic waves without being swallowed by them. Donna was that voice. Her first song with them, Hostage, was recorded as a demo for someone else. But her version was undeniable. It went #1 in France, giving her the first hint of what she was capable of. Yet success rarely arrives fully formed. In Germany, the song was pulled from radio after a political kidnapping. Even her first hit carried controversy behind it. Then came the night that changed everything. Love to Love You Baby. Donna recorded the song half joking, half acting, thinking it would be given to another singer. The producers wanted something sensual, something bold, something that sounded like a secret whispered into the dark. Donna leaned into the performance the way an actress would, borrowing the airy breath of Marilyn Monroe and blending it with her own control. What she delivered was not a song. It was an awakening. Neil Bogart, founder of Casablanca Records, heard the track at a party in America. The room demanded to hear it again. Then again. Then again. Bogart understood instantly what others had missed. The song was not built for radio. It was built for the dance floor. He asked Giorgio to extend it. 17 minutes. A pulse that did not stop. A groove that stretched across space and breath. When the long version reached the United States, clubs erupted. It was shocking. It was provocative. It was undeniable. Love to Love You Baby went straight into history. It redefined what vocal performance could sound like. It changed how producers thought about rhythm. It helped set the foundation for electronic dance music decades before the world would recognize it. Donna did not know any of this when the call came. Pack your bags. You are going to America. After 8 years abroad, she returned to a country that no longer remembered the girl from Boston, but was ready to crown the woman she had become. Casablanca signed her immediately. They released Love to Love You Baby as her album, and it sold more than 1 million copies. But the fame came with a cost she had not expected. Clubs treated her voice like a trigger. Men and women tore at the air when she walked out. Crowds surged. Stages shook. Security became her shadow. She was no longer just a singer. She was a symbol, and symbols do not get to choose who sees them or how they are seen. Still, beneath the chaos, something deeper was happening. Disco was becoming a culture, and Donna Summer was becoming its center. Fame looks golden from a distance. Up close, it begins to flicker. And for Donna, the glow that once felt warm began to burn. After Love to Love You Baby exploded across the world, her life stopped belonging to her. Crowds followed her. Camera flashes sliced through the air. Every show felt louder, brighter, more dangerous. In Italy, 5,000 people surged toward the stage, screaming and reaching, their bodies moving like a single wave. Security pulled her away as the stage shook beneath her feet. It was not admiration. It was hunger. Donna had grown up in the church. She was raised on reverence, not obsession. The sex symbol image frightened her. It threatened to swallow her whole. And fame did not slow down. In less than a year, she released a love trilogy. Then 4 seasons of love. Then more shows. More travel. The pace was inhuman, and she was still a young mother missing her child across an ocean. The pressure built quietly at first. Sleepless nights. Unfinished meals. A feeling that her life was running faster than she could chase it. Then came the breaking point. She was alone in a hotel room. The kind of room where silence presses against you from every wall. She walked to the window. She put one foot on the ledge. She told herself she did not want to live another minute. A curtain tangled around her leg. A housekeeper opened the door. And the moment passed. But the fear stayed. It wrapped around her like a second skin. She sought help. Doctors prescribed Valium. The pills numbed her body, but not her spirit. She felt herself slipping away, becoming hollow in the very life she had built. Her sister took her back to church. Back to the place where her voice first found its strength. Back to the only space where she felt held instead of consumed. Donna prayed. She cried. And she fought her way back from the edge until the haze of the medication lifted. Recovery did not erase the reality she faced. She returned to work. She recorded, I Remember Yesterday. She recorded, I Feel Love. The songs soared across Europe and America, reshaping music. But even as her star rose, parts of her life were cracking. Her relationship turned violent. The man she loved nearly killed her. She ran. She survived. And she carried the trauma with her. Even as the world cheered her name, Casablanca Records pushed her relentlessly. 2 double albums, a live album, tours that left no space for breath. She was the engine that powered a billion-dollar industry, and no one slowed the machine long enough to ask if she was breaking. By 1979, her masterpiece, Bad Girls, arrived. Triple platinum, #1, a global phenomenon. But success invited its own enemy. America turned against disco. The backlash was violent. Disco Demolition Night filled a baseball stadium with crowds destroying records, many of them by black and queer artists. It was not just a protest. It was a message about who was allowed to belong. Donna watched the genre she defined become the target of a cultural firestorm. At the same time, she was drowning in legal battles with Casablanca. 10 million at stake. Exhaustion mounting. Then came a new wound. A journalist accused her of making anti-gay remarks during a concert. Words she insisted she never said. Words that shattered her relationship with the community that had embraced her. Clubs stopped playing her music. Radio stations backed away. She held a press conference. She told the truth. She sued for $30 million. But some scars do not fade. And some audiences do not listen once they believe a lie. Still, Donna kept moving. But each step felt heavier. The woman who had changed the sound of the world was now fighting to keep her own voice from disappearing. To understand Donna Summer's place in history, you have to understand the world she was reshaping. America in the 70s and 80s was a country in conflict, a place where old traditions collided with new rhythms, and where the dance floor became a sanctuary for people who had nowhere else to belong. Disco was more than music. It was liberation. It was identity. It was protest wrapped in glitter and bass lines. And Donna stood at the front of it. Her voice became the doorway through which millions entered a new cultural language. For many listeners, especially Black, Latino, and queer communities, her music was freedom made audible. It was the place where they could exist without apology. In gay clubs across America, her songs were not just hits, they were lifelines. They were soundtracks to nights when people felt seen in a way the outside world refused to see them. But America was changing fast. By the 80s, MTV had become the new gatekeeper of fame, and for Black women, those gates remained almost closed. Donna broke through. The video for She Works Hard for the Money became the first by a Black female artist to be placed in heavy rotation on MTV. This was not a small victory. It shifted the industry. It widened the screen. It gave room for future artists like Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, Toni Braxton, and countless others. Internationally, Donna's influence ran even deeper. Europe embraced her earlier than America did. Producers, DJs, and electronic musicians studied her collaborations with Giorgio Moroder like scripture. I Feel Love did not just change disco. It became the blueprint for modern dance music. Without Donna, there is no techno in Detroit. There is no house in Chicago. There is no EDM exploding at festivals across the world. She was the pulse before the machine learned how to pulse. But the world's love was complicated. Her relationship with the LGBTQ community, once unbreakable, suffered after the rumors of anti-gay remarks. And yet, even then, many queer listeners could not abandon her music. Her voice had been with them in their earliest expressions of selfhood. It was woven into their lives. Her influence also reached political and cultural spaces. When she performed at the Nobel Peace Prize concert for President Barack Obama, it was a full-circle moment. A girl from Boston's projects, standing as a global icon in front of a Black president who had grown up in the era of her sound. Globally, Donna became something rare, a woman whose art moved markets, bent genres, and marked eras. A woman who turned the dance floor into a home for the lost, the lonely, the joyful, and the unseen. And even after she was gone, the world kept dancing to the music she left behind. Because Donna Summer did not just shape a moment, she shaped the world that followed it. Donna Summer's final years were nothing like the stages she once commanded. There were no lights, no applause, no crowds waiting for the first beat to drop. There was only a quiet home in Naples, Florida, the steady warmth of family, and an illness she carried in silence. In May of 2012, the news broke. Donna Summer had died at 63 from lung cancer. The world stood still. People asked how a woman who had never been seen with a cigarette could be taken by a disease that seemed so distant from her life. Her family said nothing at first. They protected her the same way she had spent her entire life protecting others. Later, details emerged. Some said it was secondhand smoke from years of performing in dense, smoky clubs. Some said it was genetic, the same illness that had taken her mother and her sister. Others pointed to the dust that filled New York's air after the collapse of the Twin Towers, a cloud she had breathed in from her apartment on September 11. Whatever the cause, the loss felt sudden, too sudden for someone whose voice had carried generations. Her daughters mourned her quietly. Her husband, Bruce, held the life they built together. And behind the scenes, a dispute rose over the fortune she left behind, $75 million. Children arguing, a legacy placed between hands that loved her differently. It was a reminder that even the brightest lives leave shadows behind. But the world did what the world always does when an icon falls. It listened again. It remembered. It played her music not out of habit, but out of gratitude. In 2013, Donna Summer was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame after 4 previous nominations. Her song I Feel Love was added to the National Recording Registry, preserved as a work that changed not just an era, but the very shape of modern sound. Broadway created Summer, the Donna Summer musical, bringing her life back to the stage where she had always belonged. Her daughter Brooklyn stepped behind the camera, creating a documentary to honor the woman the world thought it understood, but never truly knew. Because Donna's story was never just a rise and fall. It was a map of survival, reinvention, faith, fear, brilliance, and the courage to keep creating even when the world forgot how to listen. Some stories end without closure, but dignity does not need applause. To anyone who has ever danced alone in a dark room, searching for yourself in the beat of a song, Donna was there. To anyone who has carried scars from childhood, or found strength in faith, or survived the things no one else saw, her voice was a hand reaching through the noise. If Donna Summer ever touched your life, tell us how. Share your memory. We read every word.